What up, guys? Welcome back. In this video we are going to be addressing my cross member. I previously notched it out. It didn't really leave a whole lot of room. Never boxed it back in. Like I had said, I had planned on pulling this motor back out pretty much right away, but here it is 2 years later. I went ahead and did some stuff off camera. I'm sure you guys really don't want to watch me with a sawzall and a grinder just go to town on some 1/4 inch plate. 1/4 inch is a little overkill, but might as well make it strong, right? Other than that, we'll go over some things that I had done. We'll go over some measurements. I haven't really found a video on YouTube before what you need to notch. I know you don't have to if you end up getting the correct pan for the swap. I'm on a budget. I got a family, you know, it takes money. So I just used the stock pan for like 30 bucks. And went ahead and notched it. That was a process in itself, just getting out the notch that I had in it before. But yeah, let's get into this. So before we actually get into the cross member itself, I'm going to work on the transmission cross member, do a little modification to it. I had done it previous. We'll go over that here in a bit. So we'll go ahead and I've already got it out, got the previous piece cut off. We're going to be welding some more on it, get a little practice. See where it goes from there. Don't do that. So now that I'm bleeding, all that is cleaned, ready for some weld. This cross member, I had taken no measurements. I was pulling the motor in and out, in and out, in and out, many a times before I actually found the position that I wanted. Needless to say, I didn't get the position right. So I think I had shown you guys in the previous video about I had just put a little like L bracket right on the edge of that basically came out and extended this. I needed to be raised up, so when I put the trans and engine back in, my drive shaft angle was way out of whack. I ended up stacking washers, about 1.5 inches worth of washers. Like I said, it was temporary-ish. Say it again, 2 years later, it ended up being kind of a permanent thing. So here, now what I'm doing, I'm fixing that. You'll see once we get into it some more. new to me. I've been trying to tinker with it and figure out how it works and settings and stuff, you know, one of them. Titanium's pretty good. Here, let me switch you around. Like I said, not the best. Decided to start on the crossmember before I went to the transmission crossmember before I went to the actual frame crossmember under the engine. Wanted to get this down, get my settings right and stuff before I went and did all that. But it's turning out all right. You'll never see it under the truck, so yeah, there it is. We'll continue. So before my transmission crossmember, I previously showed you guys underneath the truck. It was still connected to everything. I'm just gonna go ahead and show you now. I know I done started welding the new on. Oh, there's the new so far. We're gonna put some 45s on it here in a minute. But this piece was our old piece. And this piece, let me get you focused in here. The sun's kind of screwing me. All right, so there's the new compared to the old. Now the old was directly to the side. You can see how much taller that is. New versus old. The length was pretty good. I just drilled out 2 holes and then connected them. This one, I actually just have a center hole in, a little countersunk thing I had previously put together. I got a couple of them here. These little guys. I don't even remember what I put those together for. Put those together a long time ago. I think they were to my oldest. I don't remember. Anyway, so we're getting ready to put some 45s in here, give it some bracing, and then probably one back here. I don't really know. I mean, it's 1/4 inch plate. Well, there's that. It's not the prettiest thing, but I think it'll hold. I'm most certain it'll hold. Yeah, here, let me turn you around and I'll show you. Like I said, not the prettiest thing by any means. It wasn't pretty to begin with. I like that bead. That's pretty nice-ish. Not the greatest. I am not a welder by trade, for sure. That'll hold. So yeah, we'll get that cleaned up, and I'm gonna shoot some paint on it while it's still hot and just make sure it dries real fast. Now that we got a little bit of practice with the transmission crossmember, we're going to be moving on to the frame crossmember, I guess, the one that sits under the oil pan. First, I know I told you guys I'm going to be going over some measurements. Everybody's might be a little different. I don't know. Kind of just depends, like I said. You can buy a swap pan for this. You can buy a bunch of stuff. This isn't something new. Many people have done this swap. More so with the square bodies, I feel, rather than the second gens. Yeah, I guess I'm just gonna go ahead and show you what I have done. Like I said, yours might be a little bit different if you're tackling this. Yeah, so let me flip you around here. I'll get you some measurements and we'll go from there. Alright, so as you can see, it's all cut out and cleaned out. The motors and pretty much everything sit a little bit off center. I don't like things off center. So what I went ahead and did is I used my previous cut was actually about here and here. Which if you look back, I'll probably input that in this clip somewhere, a little before and after. But here I just butted up to the crossmember itself, and it's kind of hard to see. It's about 3 3/8 to my cut. And then over here, we're at about 3 and just under 3 3/8 there. So, like I said, I don't like things different. I'm a little weird. I like symmetry. Now, if I remember right, let me find my piece. There's my piece that I have cut out, and it itself is 10 5/8. Now, you come back and you set this dude in here. I put my square. I'm so sorry about the shaky camera. I've been doing all of this on my cell phone and it shows. So, I actually took my square and my cut wasn't perfect. You see how I got a little gap there? We'll fill that with some weld. And get it pushed back here all the way. I actually took my square and squared down to the bottom of this crossmember here. And I came out an inch and a half. Inch and a half on both sides. So then, yeah, that left that and that on both sides. So I got my side pieces cut out. That was kind of a pain, kind of trying to trace things on an angle. Got those all cleaned up. They are ready to be I'm gonna go ahead and tack them in, get them in place before I start actually welding them all in. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and do that now. I will set you up and we will see each other in a second. So these are my side pieces. As you can see, they're very different. I don't know why they are different, but that's just how the frame is, I suppose. So I did go ahead and mark the back. I left the protective coating on it. I don't know if it's going to help over time or not. We'll see, I guess. But went ahead, got them all cleaned up, got a little bevel on all the edges. The driver's side looks a little bit better. I can't tell you the actual measurements for these, just because, here I guess I can. So my sides here are 4 1/4. That's passenger. And then the driver is about 4 3/8. Like I said, they're very different from side to side. Depending on how you cut or where you cut, yours is also going to be very different. Alright, so now that we're all tacked in, go ahead. We are officially all boxed in. So like I said, this truck had a lot of half-ass shit. I mean, even prior to me even doing anything to it, it was a mess. So I traded this truck for a car that I had, and the car was a little rusty, but it was perfect. It didn't leak, it didn't miss, nothing. Drove 2 hours. The guy portrayed it as, you know, a good running truck. He dailied it. You know, the pictures did it way more justice. I asked him if there was any rust. Yeah, I got a couple of pictures. I'm like, oh, okay, that's not too bad. A little bit on the bedside above the wheel arch. All the S10s have it. So I got down there and basically traded this almost perfect car for something that missed like crazy, had a hard time shifting. Luckily, I took the trailer and I didn't try to drive it home. Came home, messed with it, did a bunch of stuff. Tried to get rid of the mess. Drove it around for a little bit like that, trying to figure it out. Ended up saying to heck with it. I had this motor sitting around over at my grandparents' house. It was just a bare block with a crank and some pistons. The crank was, it spun a few rod bearings originally, which I think if you see my previous video, there's some sparkle in the oil. I think it's just left over because I never had it washed. I never had the block washed. So I guess I'm not going to dig into the motor just quite yet. I can always do that in the truck. I want to get it able to be pulled out, and I got some other things to do with the wife's cars. So beyond that, I'm ranting. Like I said, there was a lot of half-ass shit on here. I had planned on pulling everything out. I said it a million times. After I had gotten it running, to redo everything. Once I got some final measurements and figured out how it ran and what it needed. So here we are, once again, 2 years later. That cross member bothered me bad for them 2 years. So that makes me super happy that is being done, along with the transmission cross member with all the washers that I had stacked on it. So yeah, we'll get back into it. Sorry about the rant. now that I am where the engine belongs, sorry the welder's a little loud, I'll go ahead and show you my progress so far. I still have the underside of the sides, if that makes sense. I'll show you here in just a second. Let me flip you around. Once again, not the best work. I'm gonna say it again, I'm not a welder by trade by any means. Next, I'm gonna have to get it on my damn back and weld under here on both sides. But other than that, she's welded. So I think that's video for tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and get this edited up and get it posted. We'll keep you posted further. Like I said, you're with me every step of the way. I'm not real sure what we're gonna be doing next. I do got a bunch of little things to do. Yeah. So yeah, thanks for hanging out with me today, getting my cross members all welded up and stuff, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.